In the year 100,000 BC, there was nothing. This persisted many years until 50,000 BC when the planets were created. Animals existed, but humans did not. However, 30,000 years later, in 20,000 BC, a new species appeared seemingly out of nowhere like everything else. The species were not humans, they were named vilipens. They were like humans, but their heads were rectangular, and they had large noses. They made a town called Oakjang in 19,999 BC. Oakjang was a thriving town and other towns were also created. However, Oakjang became a nation named Mogadon in 19,000 BC. Mogadon pillaged the surrounding towns and started clashes with other nations like Raikid. Raikid was a nation that pillaged much more. In fact, they were also known as the Pillagers. They never built any cities and instead they took over the town of Brokomduvdan. Mogadon stopped expanding and that was a very bad idea. However, Raikid expanded across Western Europe and became a huge nation. In 18,807 BC, Raikid and Mogadon went to war. They fought for hundreds of years. The war finally came to an end in 17,012 BC. This was a terrible conflict and it killed 90% of all vilipens. After this, Mogadon collapsed. However, the Oakjang kingdom was the true successor to Mogadon. The Oakjangians forever crossed their arms, becoming peaceful. They planned to be peaceful forever. Meanwhile, Raikid also collapsed, but their collapse was way worse with many warlords fighting to gain the throne of Raikid. However, many people escaped Mogadon and Raikid and headed out of Europe. They discovered many new lands such as Northern Africa and Eastern Europe. A new great power named Palzika rose up from Eastern Europe and took over Oakjang and the other small nations across former Mogadon. Palzika let Oakjang be a free city-state but did not give mercy to the rest of former Mogadon. Palzika also tried to take over the already weak Raikid. Then Palzika had clashes with Raikid constantly and were very distracted. So while Palzika was distracted, the former Mogadon towns that were under Palzikan rule joined Oakjang. Eventually Palzika and Raikid collapsed and the true government of Raikid renamed themselves to the Pillagers. Oakjang was still peaceful but they sent explorers across the world in 15,000 BC. They founded many cities such as Nyabralin, Kaninst-Bilaluran, Kargiz-Egypt and many more. Oakjang basically took over the whole world, so they renamed themselves to the Oakjang Order. The way the Oakjang Order worked was every town could do what they wanted to, but they still had to follow the Oakjangian laws. However, they discovered something in the deserts and jungles. Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs destroyed many Oakjangian cities, so Oakjang only built their cities along the coast. However, Oakjang only had 5,000 more years until something terrible happened for them.